Welcome to Igniting Inspired Insight, a space for real conversations with incredible humans. I'm your host, Jay, as you know, and in this episode, we get to ask three questions that open the door to reflection, resonance, and revelation. This is a space for truth, trust, and the kind of insight that comes from simply being human. Let's do this. So, today, it is my absolute honor to introduce a dear friend, a magical colleague, and much, much more. Um, and she's currently landing in Tautahi while I'm dialing in from Tahuna, Queenstown. Julia, welcome. I'm so honored to have you.
Oh, no, Mickey J, thank you so much. It's so amazing to be here, and I'm loving this podcast series so much. And thank you for having me. Thanks.
Yay! For those who are listening, who is Julia?
Um, Kia ora, everybody. My name is Julia Fenn. So I am based here in Ōtautahi, as Jay mentioned. So I'm a kaimirimiri. I'm a somatic practitioner, and I'm also a creative director. So I work across between worlds, creatively, and also in the healing arts. And I have done for 8 years now, or actually nearly nine. And yeah, love. I love the humanness of this experience, and I love the realness of our journey here. And I have a very strong passion for the power of our sensitivity and the power that we have when we allow ourselves to feel, and we care for our nervous systems in ways that actually lets our perception really almost speak back to us. And I just believe that the more that we can heal and open ourselves up to new sensory experiences that are really joyful, the more that we can actually work towards creating a world that we no longer have to heal from.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that, I mean, that's a big goal, isn't it? It's a big goal, but
It's the most beautiful one of all.
yeah, yeah. But in the power of healing, I'm really lucky in my work. I get to see miracles all the
Mhm.
time. Um, and our sensory capacity and our ability to reclaim our sensory capacity after we go through what life throws at us. It's a really, really beautiful thing. And it's my dream and my goal to just reconnect people with that sense of wonder, and also to know that wherever people are at on their healing journey, wherever you're at on your healing journey, there's always options. There's always options, and there's never a point where there's no options.
Mhm.
And I think that that's probably one of the most integral things.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that's a bit about me. But thank you for having me.
Yay!
Cheers.
I love it. We'll hear more. I know that we'll weave that into our kōrero. So here's the first question for you. First segment, common thread. What's one moment, belief, or experience that changed the way you see the world?
Yeah, and of such a powerful, beautiful question, and such a powerful, beautiful common thread that is, because so many of us have had that moment where things just shift, like things just change for us. And there's a wisdom that comes from that shift that I don't think it's like beyond words. The people who um can speak to that place, Jay.
Mhm.
There's actually almost like a silence. Silence is the response a little bit, because the things that move us are so pivotal.
Mm,
And it's that, like how hard do you find the words for that perspective shift?
mm.
Like, I just got goosebumps just even
Mhm.
tuning into that, because so many things, they can't actually really be explained in words. They can, right? And like we have poetry, and thank goodness. And like we
Yeah.
do have ways of describing and ways of finding language to explain these things that happen for us. But for me, a moment that I had was at the passing of one of my best friends when in 2018, and we'd been friends since we were 15 years old. And yeah, it was very, very sudden. Yeah, it was very sudden. He had a brain aneurysm in his sleep. And I just got a phone call saying get to the hospital. Um, and as he was passing, there was a karakia said at his bedside, and something moved through that room. Something moved through that space on the planet. That's something just moved through time and space um, during that karakia. And it was at that moment that I had this perspective shift that you're speaking to, where everything
Hmm.
was, and I still can't find words for it.
Mm.
But it was something that was also such a natural, even though it was such a like grief does that. Grief has this way of splitting time and space, but there was
Hmm.
such a like a peace,
Hmm.
and I'd never felt anything really like it. I kind of had, but I'd never been like right on that precipice of feeling that, and it was such profound beauty, such profound sadness and grief, such profound
Mm.
shock. That yeah, there were no words for it, but it was a massive moment that really just shifted my whole life. Um,
Mm.
but in a really, I mean, devastating, but the beauty that you come with healing, like the journey of grief, there's like, yeah, I know that you can understand this,
Yeah, I can.
which is
Yeah.
why, yeah, but it's something that I think by talking about it really supports people to let in more support if needed on their journey, and also it just gives them permission to like move through those experiences in whatever way that they need to.
Yeah. Is
So
there
yeah.
a way that it changed the way you view the world? Is there an aspect that you looked at differently from
Um,
that experience?
yeah, I looked at a lot happened with the eyes. Like
Hmm.
my eyes changed. I feel like
Hmm.
my eyes changed. And
Okay.
I feel like there was this like space where it was like just a depth that I could just I was in, and other people could feel it, and other
Hmm.
people who'd been there could feel it, and it was like this deeper
Hmm.
holding in this, it was presence. It was like a pure presence.
Yeah.
And time does different things in presence.
Hmm.
When we're present with ourselves, when we're present with each other, where our experience of time changes.
Yeah.
I feel anyway, and for others I've spoken with too, there's a slowness and a fastness, and it just turns into something else. And that was the thing, and I think in that ability to hold presence, um, healing can happen because
Hmm.
we're slowing things down, and we're actually letting ourselves, parts of ourselves, catch up to other parts. And when we learn how to work with that pace and we can meet other people there, man,
Hmm.
healing can happen. Yeah.
Agreed. We're in the deep listening for what's coming through us, what wants to come through us, what's here, what's leaving,
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, definitely.
Question two in the moment. So I've just presented this question to Julia.
Yes.
This question being for you is, what part of your story do you carry with the most pride?
I love this question. And it came up in conversation with someone yesterday. Um, the and it's so funny because we go through this life, on this like, growth trajectory, and we're like doing all the things and stuff. But the thing that I'm the like, and pride is an interesting word as well in
Mm,
itself.
yeah, it is.
Um, but the thing is, and like, oh my gosh, it's like honestly, it's to come back to the fact that we're all so human, and like we actually don't, like, anything can actually happen to anybody. And it's the humanness. I love, like, when you said the most pride, it's like the thing that I actually love the most recently about my conversations with people is being able to just like come back to the fact that like everyone actually makes mistakes, and like
Hmm.
everyone actually like screws stuff up sometimes, and everyone actually And I just like, and it's so funny that you say the word pride because like honestly, like there's just this like, returning of like this, oh my God, yeah, like that's right, I'm a mess and it's okay. Like there's just this
Hmm.
returning of warmth into
Hmm.
spaces when you're just like, oh yeah, I like actually really didn't handle that well. Or like, and suddenly it's like everyone's like, oh, okay, yeah, no, like I'm good, and it's like, yeah, like we're good. Like we are actually good. And like no one is getting out of here alone or first actually. And like we all have a responsibility to each other to
Mm.
do to do our best and showing up imperfectly. We're so there's so much constriction and like perfectionism with that. And so when you said like what do you have the most pride about? It's like
Mm.
actually it's like honestly like the fact that every now and again like we need to take ourselves off the hook and like actually just be like yeah like
Hmm.
sometimes things don't go well. Like sometimes things go really badly. And you know what? It's okay because we can just actually like own it and come back and it's okay. And yeah. So that's actually the thing about in terms of pride. It's like that the feeling when that warmth returns into a space,
Hmm.
when maybe things are getting a little bit too like tight or feeling like they're unallowing
Hmm.
of things to just like not go away that as intended. Yeah.
Hmm.
Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
what I'm hearing and what I agree is that like and I would agree and I mean agree for myself is like one of the things that I not thought about until now really, but acknowledged in a different way is that the same thing. Like one of the things I'm most proud of is the level of compassion I now have for myself and that acknowledgement that a human life is imperfect.
Yeah. It's so imperfect.
It's
It's
so
so
beautifully
imperfect.
imperfect.
Yeah, it is. And the more that you're just like, okay, permission to just be a mess and be imperfect. Like people are so awesome once that
Hmm.
pressure is off.
Hmm.
And like you're actually able to solve problems so much better. Don't you reckon?
Yes, but we're also in a space of growth
Yeah.
rather than and openness rather than contraction and making meaning and operating only from a space of emotion.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's yeah, it's such a beautiful thing. And I would say that I see that a lot in my clients too, is like the level of pride. And you're right, pride is a funny word, but the level of pride when they start seeing that the work they've done reflecting back to themselves, when they start seeing that they're no longer berating or judging themselves, they're in that acceptance
Yeah.
of their humanness. And
Yeah.
authenticity. And that living authentically is something to be so incredibly proud of because it takes a lot of unlayering and unlearning.
Yeah. Yes. It really does. It really does. And it's such a reverse thing because we like yeah the conditioning is thick like
Hmm.
it's thick conditioning that we've gone through to show up in a certain way
Yes.
and we still need to show up well
Hmm.
but we can also show up as humans and it's okay. There's a really beautiful really beautiful trauma expert that I follow. His name is David Bedrick from the Santa Fe School of I'll have to link it. But David Bedrick is his name.
Hmm.
And he's got this really beautiful analogy of he talks about how like the mind, like our minds can be a really violent place, like our internal worlds can be really violent to
Yes.
ourselves.
Yep.
And I just love that statement because it paints so clearly like the vulnerability of some people's internal landscapes.
Hmm.
Um, And I always have that in mind, like people are actually doing their best,
Hmm.
like pretty much all the time, like most of the time. You know what I mean? And it's like a really important, I feel like, in terms of being trauma informed, because people are actually trying to do their best. And the more that we learn about trauma responses and survival techniques, the
Hmm.
more empathy we can have and understanding. And then it's from that awareness and that knowledge that we can actually create proper solutions as
Yep.
well. So I just feel like the more real we are with ourselves and like
Mhm.
our imperfection, and then we're like, okay, cool. So like we can understand other people better.
Yep.
Yeah. And I feel like there's, you know, like people who have pride about their recoveries, people who have pride about changing their ways, ways of living that weren't serving them, people who have put in the work, like that is huge. Like it's no small
So valid.
feat. Like,
Yes.
yeah, and like we see miracles every day. But it's
Mm.
it's their openness, eh? It's their openness. And when people feel like I was saying in the beginning, when people feel like they have options,
Mm.
if something isn't working for them, maybe they've been in talk therapy for like years and it stopped working, or they're not able to have those results that you're talking about mirrored back to them,
Hmm.
and they feel a sense that they're not making any progress.
Hmm.
It's important to then pivot people so that they are actually feeling that sense of empowerment again. And this is why having options and learning the specific healing languages that people have is really important because yeah, like we need to keep moving. We need to keep everybody moving,
Hmm.
enough so that
Yep.
there's a rejuvenated sense of purpose,
Hmm.
and trust. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Great question,
Yes.
Jay. It's a really good question.
Oh, I love that. And I love where it took us. And I hope that that really inspires some inquiry for those who are listening.
Mm.
Um, and I know that we share this not just from, well, I think you could tell by what we're saying, but it's not from a facilitator's point of view, although we now bring that experience into how we interact with people, but it is really from a felt, learned, embodied experience.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's vital, actually.
Mhm.
It's like really, really important because yeah, yeah, like it's vital that we're, yeah, it's just vital that there's an
Operating from that
understanding.
understanding, right? And
Yeah.
really, yeah, the depth of experience. But I also believe that that's what gives us the compassion to be present in the work.
Yep, totally. Absolutely. And this is why, they always say, like they say like no mud, no lotus, which is 100% true, but like you really do like look back at those times that were just so hard. Like you actually can,
Hmm.
like there is, yeah, yeah, it's just incredible. It's incredible what people can overcome. And I would suggest to people out there who are going through it and they are struggling to keep trying to find those connections or keep trying to find those voices or practitioners that you resonate with and permission to move on from ones that don't as well.
Absolutely.
Because we have seasons in our lives and sometimes we grow out of stuff, or maybe you
Yeah.
might you might need to try somatic work for a while because you actually using your tinana and actually getting into like your visceral fascia, for a bit if you've just been doing talk therapy. Sometimes we need a range of things. And as we grow up and the different things that we go through, we're operating on different levels and different parts of us are waking up. And so it's like full permission to just move around and do whatever you need. And if it's not working and you need help, try something else.
Mhm.
Yeah, try something else. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the medicine. Here we are. Segment three, reflecting light. That means, my dear friend, that you have a question for me.
I do have a question for you. Yeah, my question for you, Jay, is what was the first time you connected with, like, okay, either the notion,
Hmm.
like the feeling, okay, and they could be two different things as well. So the notion or the feeling, and the word, so the actual meaning, the kupu of whakapapa. So some people might have felt their whakapapa before they knew what it was, or some people may have like learned the word and then gone backwards. But what was your first understanding of whakapapa and how has that been with you? Or has it? Yeah, in what way?
First understanding of whakapapa.
Yeah, for you. Or actually for whakapapa in general, it could have been of something else, but yeah.
Hmm. That's a multi-layered question. And I'm not gonna lie, I needed a minute.
Yeah,
So
it's okay.
we just had a wee pause. There was a lot that came up in that, and I think that, and I was also getting a lot of visuals
Mm,
as you were asking me the question. So that's why I think it was also a little bit overwhelming because I saw myself as a child. I saw my grandma, my granddad, and then I saw my spiritual grandfather who helped me with a lot of the beautiful work in terms of touching times when I was in the womb, times before the womb, those who came before me, all of that. So there's so many, I feel like there's loops to it in terms of there was parts of me that really felt that at a really young age because I was so connected to my grandparents and to who they were and what they loved. And that wasn't, not everybody in my family was that way, just to a certain degree. So it was quite, it was something that just was me. And then a lot of my story and my experiences as a child had me sort of cut every element of that off. And which I now know, like it also cut me off from the strength that I needed and to enjoy the things that I had been through.
mm,
So that's when, spiritual grandfather steps in, beautiful healer. First time I'd really embodied that sort of work. And he
mm,
brought in the knowing, the messages. And the reason why I say that that's what really connected me to my whakapapa is that he was sharing stories that were connected to my lineage that no one had ever told me before. And how on earth would he know? Yeah, I knew it. I could feel it in every cell and every bone and every being. And so that was a really deep part of my experience and really calling in and connecting to and breathing with my
mm,
whakapapa. So that, and then, so that's why I say it's like multi-layered and it's in loops, because then I think that when we talk about like through my yoga training, that's what really connected me to nature and to
mm,
the elements and the earth. But I didn't see it in the same way as I did when I started my miri training.
mm,
And then there was like this innate sense of connection to the elements. So before it was like, an observer, like learning, yeah, being the student of, and kind of having the knowledge and the invitation come through. But then in the midi it was like right there, like you are connected to the elements, you feel it within you, and I think that it just it's not that it wasn't there, it just connected the dots to be in a fully embodied connection to the elements, the elementals, to my spirit team, whether they're in my lineage, and I'm so grateful that many of them are.
mm,
And then that deeper child connection to my grandparents and all of that beauty. And there's always been this weave of Scotland, which I know you know. Because
yeah.
all my grandparents, as far as I know, are from there. And I know that there's people in my family who have done that work in terms of family tree, which is why again, the loops, because it's only just recently that I felt like I know people in my family have that knowledge and I want to learn it.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that element of it, of like really understanding it on a, I guess, family tree level, and and even the where we, it has really come in and to yeah. So understandably why I needed a minute for that
Yeah,
question.
absolutely. Yeah, beautiful
So
answer.
powerful.
Beautiful. It was
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, when we talk about whakapapa and really understanding the depth of what that means, it's not just ancestors, it's not just genealogy, it's more than that. That was the other reason why I initially apprehended there was apprehension in answering because there was a part of me that's like, I really want to get this right out of respect for a lot.
Mm, mhm. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And while also just being true.
Yeah, I could feel your heart so strongly through that.
Woo!
Beautiful, beautiful
Yeah,
day. Powerful answer, man.
thank
Amazing.
you.
Yeah.
Um, what about you?
So Great answer. So yeah, so interesting how you spoke to the miri miri and how that it kind of opened up a whole other level for you because like yeah. Right? Like rongo
Mhm.
Māori
Yep.
is something else.
Next level.
Yeah.
It's all of a sudden, you're speaking to the wind and the water. You feel every element of water and the medicine in that, and the funny thing is though, like I say, all of a sudden, it's not that it's all of a sudden you're connecting to that. You've always been. It's just all of a sudden you are aware and you feel the Māori in that.
Yeah. And there's a presence.
Hmm.
That's what I felt anyway. There was a
Hmm.
presence. Like, I was always a little fairy kid. You were too.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
always there, but there was a presence
Hmm.
that came through. And for me, it was that kind of care that I was speaking to at the beginning. And it
Hmm.
brought it all out of Wairu, out of dream time. And it just went, you're here.
Hmm.
You are here now. Um, yeah. And that's it. That's it. That's the yeah, the when
Yes.
you're on the edge, you're on the precipice of it and you're there in that moment. Um,
Mm.
yeah, and there's just so much beauty in that. And yeah, for
Depth, power, foundation,
Debt Power
stability.
Foundation, yep. And speaking to Whakapapa too, and um, yeah, my experience of that, it amplified. And once there was that moment where everything was brought and became really present, they say that the eldest daughter carries the whakapapa. Um,
Hmm.
well, yeah, that matauranga with the eldest daughter, it's encoded. And my experience of that, it was always my mum who's the eldest daughter who did the family tree, and I'm the eldest daughter and my whānau, and the yeah, there really kind of was like a almost like a sense of duty that I felt, I suppose, with that. But I mean, I was always really interested in family lineages, and I always loved all the anything to do with like histories, particularly to do with like I always loved the stories of the like the swamps in
Hmm.
England, and I like, the peat bog bodies that, I'd read the mystery books when I was a little kid. Like they had the ones in the school library about all of, and then it was actually, believe it or not, I was 28 when I had my first midi midi, which put me on my path of becoming um a tawira, a student. And then when I graduated, I practiced for years and years, and I'm now a teacher. And what has happened with that is I only realized, really, really, really realized that my surname Fenn is literally, it's a swamp.
Yeah.
Like
Ta-da!
the whole time I'd been like, oh yeah, like always getting lost in the bushes, always
Yeah.
getting lost, leading people. We'd be out, with friends on a hike, and I'd lead us right into the middle of the sinkholes, right?
Mm.
And it was because I just had this affinity for those spaces, and but it didn't click, it didn't become present until I'd had that connection point, that touch point with
Yeah.
it. And
Agreed.
from there, yeah. And so this is why it's such a beautiful journey. Like, your whakapapa journey, it's unique to everybody. It's
Hmm.
unique to everybody. And there is matauranga that is really tapu, and it's really it is to be respected, and there is to be that etiquette there and that
Agreed.
respect. But it's also something that I just encourage everybody to do, because
Hmm.
there's so many, people always talk about like intergenerational trauma, right? And that's no small thing, and it's very, very it's very important on many levels, many, many, many levels. And I've got much more to talk about on this, but that's for another podcast. But
Hmm.
people don't talk about the intergenerational gifts enough,
Agreed. Thank
right?
you. Thank
Right?
you. We've
Right?
been
Like
given
there
a
were
legacy.
exactly, and there were always
Yes.
people had tupuna and ancestors that fought fought with their hearts, led with
Hmm.
their hearts, and they led and fought with love, and they
Agreed.
always tried to do the right thing all
Hmm.
through time.
Hmm.
All through time, all through time. And the Pākehā way of recording history is kind of based on land ownership, war, sports. So there's a lot of really, really good stuff that wasn't captured, right? And there's
Hmm.
also a lot of atrocities that weren't captured. But this is why we need to keep an open mind when we're doing this work. But just remember that there were always beautiful people who were
Hmm.
trying to do their best. And there's
Agreed.
always a part in the whakapapa journey where it gets hard because you might uncover some stuff, but you got to keep going. And my kaiako, Shalita Kahutianui o Te Rangi Zaini, who mentored me, took me under her wing in 2018. She always said, you just keep going all the way back. How far back do you go? All the way back. You
Mhm.
just have to keep going back until you find that taproot, find your taproot of where you root down so strongly with aroha and with love, and then that becomes your connection point.
Mm.
And there's stuff, in our past that stuff happens, okay? And you have to keep going back past that into a time where you can feel the most love from your ancestors. And sometimes we've got to go back a few generations. Um, but keep going until you find that love point, and you feel them there with you, and you feel them standing beside you, and you feel their support, and you can take yourself there and wairoa if you need to. And that's work that I love doing with people.
Mhm.
And I love creating spaces for that to happen because we are so powerful beyond what we often let ourselves feel. Yeah, and it's just so important to find spaces that lift you up and lift people up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a beautiful time for us to segue into how do people find you? What are you up to?
What am I up to?
As we
So
come to the end of this podcast, people will have heard what you have shared. They'll be hearing what's building within you.
yeah,
So, yeah, how do people find you?
how do people find me? So my Instagram is at Julia Fenn _
Mhm.
so that's my Instagram. And then I've also got my Strataspatial as my brand and my company. So www.strataspatial.com. And that's got pretty much a catalogue of my work since when I don't know, I kind of like didn't actually have a start point to where I started working. Like my work, I finished high school, I went straight to university to do fine arts, and I've just been doing the same, it's
Yeah,
just the same thing, like the
yeah,
whole time. It went
yeah.
through, from high
Glory.
school into fine arts, into spatial design, into post-traumatic stress, and architecture research for my honors degree. So I combined, um, post-traumatic stress. How can we design spaces that heal? And then it was actually like, oh, well, we actually can't quite do that because we all have completely different nervous systems. So we actually needed a design philosophy that back then was actually what trauma informed is now, but it was 10 years ago. So I used my lived experience of trauma from the Christchurch earthquake to create a design way and a design approach that was nervous system led. So back then they just thought I was like a super nerd because I was all talking about the nervous system and the limbic system. And they're like, what are you doing? We're doing interior design. I'm like, you haven't seen a building fall down. Like this shit's important. So
Yeah.
that was kind of the development of Strata Spatial happened in 2014. And then my work followed on. And then I worked in structural engineering during the rebuild. So I was on building sites doing construction monitoring, looking at making sure the bolts were in the right places. I'm not an engineer, but I was working as a construction assistant. Um, and so that was a really interesting insight into trauma and how the nervous system responds to trauma, because we pretty much had a whole city in a state of shock and stress for quite a few years. And then that is when I moved. After that, I then moved more into wellness. And I was always a yogi, and
Mhm.
I'd always try and get everyone in the offices to do yoga in their lunch breaks. And that was, I was 24 when I got my first job in engineering, and then that segued more into body work and actually into healing. And then that's eventually when I met Shalita, and I had that moment with the karakia with my friend Chris Ashton passing. And then like within a week I'd met Shalita, and she was like, I'm training you. And I was like, okay. And that's how it began. And then that just has kind of kept going. So I've just moved in between design and um, design and training as a kaimiri, and then I deepened into somatic practices, which was more to do with, I guess like anatomy and the actual nervous system trauma informed work. And then now I kind of combine it all.
Mhm.
And I've just developed, co-developed a amazing curriculum Um, so yeah, you can check out Ngā Tōhungare o Aio, more specifically Kinaki, which is the name of yeah, the beautiful training that we have created, which more news on that is coming soon. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's kind of how you can find out more about me. So Ngā Tōhungare o Aio, and then Strata Spatial is me, and then my Instagram is
sweet.
Julia Fenn. But that's mostly, to be
Yeah,
honest, the
all
stuff
of
I
those
mainly
are
post on Instagram is silly stuff. So yeah.
I'll put all those connections in
Mm.
the show notes. But that Instagram, I guess, is where people can message you directly if they have
Yeah.
questions. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So yeah, but that's about that. But um
So
yeah.
expensive, so expressive, so powerful. And you're right, there's much more that we can talk on. So much more that we can talk on and share and be that embodied expression for others. And I'm really glad to have met you and to get to share you with the
Oh,
world.
yeah.
Such an honor.
Thanks, Jay. I'm so glad that you're hosting such a well, I mean, you in the position of a podcaster is just so perfect because you have this way of asking the right questions to the right people. And that's even reflected by the questions that you had for me today. Like they were so relevant for right now. And you have a real gift, Jay. And yeah, the way that you set space and the way that you hold space is very spectacular and special. And I've witnessed it on many occasions now. And the world is at 100,000 million billion times a better place with you in it. And I'm just so glad that we've connected. And yeah, it's just been
It is a
beautiful getting
divine
to know you. And
reflection.
thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. For those who are listening, take a breath. Let what you have heard settle in. Take these insights not just as stories, but invitations. And until next time, may you walk with awareness, speak with truth, and live in what lights you up. And it is a divine reflection to have this beauty on podcast with me today. And I'm already excited for the ripple. Thank
Mm.
you.
Thank you so much, Jay.